Hi, welcome to our study of patterns found in the Gospel of Mark. Today we're looking at intentions in Mark chapter 6. What are your intentions? The act of having in mind a purpose. That's what an intention is. Determination to act in a certain way. In this chapter we see, nice easy breakdown, the people of Nazareth, what were their intentions, Herod, and then the apostles, and then the correct response, which was the people of Gennesaret. People of Nazareth, what was their intentions? Well, Jesus shows up and they're astonished at his teachings, and yet they're offended because they know who this man is. He's Jesus. His brothers and sisters, are they not with us? Did he not grow up with us? You know? So very few miracles were done because these people had no intention of honoring somebody who grew up with them. Familiarity breeds contempt. That's what they were showing Jesus. So that's why there wasn't very many miracles. It's not that Jesus couldn't heal anybody. It's these guys' intention, they weren't going to bring anybody to Jesus. They didn't want everybody to understand who he was. They didn't believe who he was. That was their intentions. The next we see is Herod. What's his intentions? Well, he has John the Baptist arrested. Why? Well, because his wife is trying to kill John because John keeps saying that they're having an adulterous relationship because Herod's married to his brother Philip's wife. And she can't stand this kind of news being talked about, which is totally understandable for women to be that way. Herod, on the other hand, is afraid of John and believes him to be a holy and righteous man. So he keeps calling John, and they keep talking, and Herod doesn't have the courage and boldness. As we see when he throws a dinner party, Herodias' daughter dances, and then Herod promises her half his kingdom, and she asks her mother, "What should I ask for?" And she says, John's head on a platter. Herod's intention was to protect John, but his courage and boldness isn't there when it comes to his intentions. And he relents, unwilling to refuse Herodias' daughter. He's afraid to lose face in front of all his friends and deny her John's head, so he doesn't protect John, and he has John executed. Can't come through with his intentions. Then we see Jesus taking the apostles off to themselves because they're kind of disturbed by the news about John and his death. And so let's just kind of recoup and just get our act together again. And as they do, the people come racing around the lake and they join them. So Jesus has a crowd. He's going to teach the crowd. And then at the end of it, he decides, well, I'll feed the 5,000. And so then they start to feed the 5,000. But I put down here in my notes that they resented sharing Jesus because they were supposed to have this time alone. And now he says, let's feed them. Let's feed the 5,000. And they resented serving, you see, because their intention was to be alone with Jesus. Their intention was not now to be waiters to 5,000 people. You got to imagine how much work that is to serve a dinner for 5,000. And every time they came back to Jesus, he had more food. He had more food. And they go, oh, he's got more food. Right? They're not learning here. And then he sends them away while he himself goes up into the mountain to pray. Now there's even more resentment because they're not getting what they had totally expected here. And now they're rowing against the wind to go back across the lake. And then Jesus decides to have mercy on them, so he goes out to join them, walks across the water. And when they see him, they think they're seeing a ghost. And they are just scared to death until he jumps into the boat. And he's going, why are you so afraid? And the verse you need to look at is verse 51 and 52. He got into the boat with them. The wind stopped, and they were utterly astonished, for they had not gained any insight from the incident of the loaves, but their heart was hardened. They didn't gain insight from the loaves. They didn't gain insight because he kept breaking all this bread and breaking all this fish because they had so much resentment, because their intention was to spend private time alone. And so because they weren't getting their intentions and because this resentment came in, they didn't learn from the miracle that Jesus was doing. They were so busy worrying about getting what they wanted to be accomplished because they hadn't gained any insight from the incident of the loaves. Got to get your intentions right. And now they get over to the right, to the other side of the lake, and here they are at Gennesaret. And what happens? The people recognize Jesus, and they run out into the countryside, to the towns, to the cities, and all they do is bring the sick, bring the demon-possessed, to Jesus so that he can heal. The people at Gennesaret had the right intentions. Their purpose was to bring and help other people to come to know who God was. When you look at the people of Nazareth, their intentions weren't correct. They didn't want to help anybody to come to see and understand who Christ was. Herod, he couldn't come through with his intentions. He couldn't protect John because he was so worried about saving his own face. The apostles, their intention was to spend time with Christ instead of sharing Christ with others. So they didn't learn. If your intentions aren't true, you're not going to learn from God. You've got to have your intentions aligned correctly. The people of Gennesaret were totally blessed. The countryside was totally blessed. All these people were blessed. Why? Because their intention was to help others come to Christ. The thing you need to ask yourselves is, what are my intentions? What do I have in mind as my purpose today? Am I bringing somebody to Christ? Things to think about. Thanks for watching.